Hello, I am here today because I wanted to talk to you a little bit about a novel that I have been reading. I spent some time in nature this morning reading from this beautiful novel called LANNY, and it's by Max Porter. Max Porter is the author of another very beautiful short novel called Grief is the Thing with Feathers, which is also very beautiful, very poetic. This one is called LANNY. I wanted to talk to you about this book and to share with you the experience of reading it this morning, or reading from it this morning as I sat in nature. It was a sunny morning, but there were clouds in the sky, and so the sun was going in and out, so I was in shadows at some point, and then suddenly I was in full sunshine, and it was warm and I could feel it on my skin, and there were trees behind me and the swayed and the breeze. There were birds singing, so it was a very textured experience. My body in space was surrounded by the sounds and texture of nature. And so as outside, so inside the text that I was reading, LANNY is a very textured, very beautiful text. So of course, just thinking of the etymology of text as tissue, as embroidery, made up of different threads, of different flavors, different thick and thin, and different colors, different types of experiences, all happening at the same time. This novel makes me think of precisely that. I think it's a text that invites us to think to what extent we can tolerate and embrace and celebrate this multi-layered experience that life is, made up of so many different coexisting sensations. We often forget, or we often refuse to acknowledge the fact that we go through life going through a selection, a variety of emotions that might be contradictory, and that's okay. And we forget that it's okay to live in this way. So this is what this novel has invited me to acknowledge about life. But I wanted to share with you what the experience of the text itself has been like, particularly because as I record this video, it's the month of June in 2021, and next Monday the 21st of June we are going to have the first meeting of the Novella Reading Club. And LANNY is going to be the first text that we discuss. It's next Monday the 21st of June at 6:30 p.m. UK time via Zoom, so you can join us. LANNY is a short novel, and it can be read on a day or over 2 or 3 days. It reads very quickly. So if you don't want to know anything about this novel, then maybe stop this video now, because I'm going to share a few bits about it. But I'm not gonna give any spoilers. It would be impossible to give spoilers about this book, because you have to experience it. One of the things that you will find is is this. Can you see how the type varies, and then the words just veer off the page and up and down? So that is an experience of a variety of voices and perceptions that all happening at the same time. The whole book is not like that. Of course, the different types of sometimes there's italics. Anyway, but the whole book is not like that, of course. What happens when you come across that kind of pages like that is, what I suggest is that you observe yourself navigating that, and just see how you open up, how much you are prepared to kind of just open up to that experience, to see what it's like, just floating around with the words. And then when it comes to the more conventional text, you can go back to, the conventional way of reading. This is a story that is set in a village, in a very kind of traditional English village. It's contemporary, it's now. And there are various characters, of course. The main character is LANNY, who is a child. And then there are various other characters, as you may imagine. The context of a village gives many possibilities of characters that tend to be quite static, quite mono-dimensional. But right, so I'm not going to tell you much more. I'm just going to read different bits of the novel so that you can enjoy the texture of it and hopefully be tempted to read it yourself. So I'm reading a section from LANNY by Max Porter under the title Dead Papa Toothwort. Dead Papa Toothwort. Dead Papa Toothwort, local historian, 74th generation cultural hummus sifter, is giving a bright orange Fanta bottle top a tour of the village. Keep up, chap, still lots to see. He does the voices. This place had a distinctive accent until quite recently, yop buck. You can still hear it in a handful of village tongues. He tells the fascinated plastic cap of times past. He resuscitates tales and teases stories from the molecular memory of the village. Chopped into the briar here was all hazel, some holly, Danish axis. Pip lost a finger. Underfoot here was the old village road before our Black Death party. This hump is the back wall of a dwelling even I can't remember. And here a notable font of not local stone. This was all open field. Matilda rode Wilhelmus here and snapped his little weapon, hedged into half acres, small furlongs for ugly ploughs. Hawthorne went in, half and half again. Was a pond here, was a Roman soldier raped by his primus pilus here. Was the fact of us being 7 miles from the mill that defined us, was beach to the left of me, beach to the right, beach coffin bury me, beach for my wife. Ah, yes, those were the days. Yes, those pretty little black bags decorating the hedge are in fact duck shit bags, courtesy of Bryant and Fay and their beagles, paid our license, paid our tax. Such a beautiful place, interrupts the Fanta cap. Beautiful? Screams Toothwort, pausing the tour, taking the form of a notable English poet with a waterproof map and a breathable turquoise jacket. Beauty is what, my semi-synthetic friend? Illness, decay and exploitation? A tapestry of small abuses, fights and littering, lake loads of unready chemicals piped into my waterbed, greed and decline, preaching, teaching, crying, dying and walking, the fucking dogs, breeding and kneading and working, and the Fanta lid is quietly whistling a Roundhead ballad. He has stopped listening to Toothwort the bore, Toothwort the over-the-top audio guide. Roger the St. John once rode this way to look at some hedging and was heard to say, "Nice run to the valley. Good scope for poaching. Haunted Rowan moves a yard a year. Saxon boundary, concrete silage bunker. Too many children for only one teacher. Each year more demand for privacy. High-speed broadband. Cures for limp dicks and depression. Insecure boundaries. Imported vegetables. Nostalgia for expansion." Dead Papa Toothwort sways in the breeze, and the many centuries-long furrows of his remembrance all tilt him towards the child. Strong Henry Beresford, born 1426, cut down 3,000 oaks in his lifetime, and the boy understands that effort and that labour. Shifty Giles Morgan, born 1956, purveyor of abundant natural light for kitchens and low-impact loft conversions, he will die in his bed from rotten lungs, and the boy sees that in sequence and fairness. Ronnie Jenny Savage, born 1694, wasn't a witch, was no such thing, was simply a curious cook, and the boy feels that too, comprehends without knowing whether they are centuries dead or alive next door. The boy understands. He builds his magical camp in the woods as a gift to them all. They should worship him. He is in tune with the permanent, can feel a community's tensile frame. Do you see his intuition? Lanny, green tree, your miracle ribs reminds me of me. Like me, do you see? The Fanta top has gone. Toothwort is alone. He's tiny. The pulse of a robin redbreast, not even that, the empty air where a robin was earlier in the day, the atom memory of the pulse, smaller than light. The boy knows me. He really, truly knows me. Pete. We're in the woods. Given the choice, Lanny will always choose the woods. I've told him about the weird Willis sisters growing devil rabbits in their greenhouses to spy on us. He's come right back at me with a story about forests, knowing if a person's good or bad. A decent human they'll keep alive, guiding them to water and food. A bad person they'll kill in a day, all forces of the forest united against the impure imposter. Could say the same of a big city, I say. I'm scratching away in my book, nice new fine liner pen, hatching bits and bobs, enjoying being wrapped up in my coat, drawing the beech trees' gnarled little belly buttons. Could be old hills from above. Could be warts trying to get Lanny to enjoy using a pen, not being able to rub out. He is a fanatic for rubbing out, trying to show him how you can keep on building, use the dark, wrestle a thing back if you've taken a wrong turn. I want him to enjoy making marks. I want him to let his wrist go a little. Hang on, where is he? Lanny? I am alone. His sketchbook sits open next to me. There's a nervous charge in the air, something guilty. Like when you meet a deer in the wood and the deer disappears and you're left standing there all clumping human noise, and there's shame in that. Oh God, I've lost him. Where is he, Lanny? Then, from way up above me, there are bees up here. There are bees up here. Pete, there are bees up here. He is 50 foot high, clambering about the crown of a vast chestnut, foreshortened like a painted trompe-l'oeil angel in the rigging of the wood. Above him, I can see a sparrowhawk pinned to the ultramarine. Stay there and hold on tight, you little nutter. I want to draw you. Pete. She asked if I could do her a favour, if I could pick him up after school from his mate Alfie's house on Chalkpit Lane. Robert was away in business, trebling invisible fortunes or whatever it is he does. Alfie's mum, Charlotte, is one of those health and safety types and regards me as smelly and dangerous. She's surely Googled me and knows knows I was once famous for filling a gallery with painted wooden dicks. Her life insurance policy is probably more expensive due to the dangerous proximity of creativity to her neat, detached house with underfloor heating and wipe-cleaned walls. No offence intended, Peter, she said, not inviting me in, but I think I should just check with Lanny's mother. She's in London, meeting with her publisher, I said. I am instructed to feed Lanny and drop him home at bedtime when his father will be home. I'm sure that's right, Peter, but let's check, shall we? Yes, let's, I said. I shan't lie, I developed a powerful dislike for Charlotte in the time it took for her to go and phone Lanny's mum, and then bring Lanny to the door, coat, shoes, rucksack, see you, Alfie, see you, Lanny, not because of her security measures, but because of her framed Renoir reproduction she had in the hallway. I can usually see a way to understand terrible things, satanic worship, decaffeinated coffee, cosmetic surgery, but Renoir's portrait of Madame de Bonnieres? No. It cannot be understood or forgiven. And framed in gold plastic and spot lit from above? No offence intended, Charlotte. There is not a chamber of hell hot enough for a woman of your taste. Later, we are polishing off jacket spuds with cheese and beans, talking about trees. We agree, Lanny and I, on the beech, an English totem. I've got a tree book, he says, and I looked up copper beech, Fagus sylvatica, and it says grossly overplanted. I think I know the book you're talking about, the Collins glove box thing with the snooty tone. Yep, I have that book. Ignore him. Highfalutin bollocks. Highfalutin bollocks. Best keep that to yourself, boy. Pete? Yes, sire. Do you believe in dead Papa Toothwort? Huh? Do you think he's real? Well, no. Well, yes, inasmuch as he's real if people believe in him. So yes, just as mermaids or spring-heeled Jack or the green children of Woolpit are real if people have thought about them, told stories about them. He's a part of this village and he has been for hundreds of years, whether he's real or not. You should ask old Peg, she's the expert. Yeah, but Wilf's brother Hugo says he's seen him climbing over the garden fence, a man made entirely of ivy. I take that with a pinch of salt, Lanny. He swings his legs and chants, "Say your prayers and be good too, or dead Papa Toothwort is coming for you." He lives in the woods. I believe in him. I've seen him. I change the subject. I'll tell you something interesting that you may already know from your reading. The bit of a tree that draws up nutrients, the most vital living part of a tree, is actually just under the surface. So, a skin wound, a minor whack with an axe or an arrow or a chainsaw can do a lot of damage to a tree, to its living operations. It grows around that damage. I know what you're going to say, replies Lanny. You do you? He stands up and stretches to the ceiling, ribs and tum reaching like a sweet pea for the sun. That humans are just the same. Dead Papa Toothwort. Dead Papa Toothwort steps up from a brown puddle and walks through the village dressed like a normal bloke. Flat cap, rain mac and sensible boots, out for an evening stroll. He whistles his song and the song is a set of private instructions. He feeds his plan into this ordinary home county place, sliding it like lubricated wire into the soft flesh of the village, into buildings, gardens, sewage pipes and water tanks, up the lane to the big house, round the back to the sports pitch, into the beer pumps, into the books in the classrooms, into the gas and electric, into the bell in the church tower, sucked into nostrils, rubbed into cotton, into the bodies of men and women, folded into sweaty creases and scratched into red eyes, into the dreams of the children and the bones of sleeping house beasts, and he whistles and gives so much he can hardly hold any idea of himself together. Exhausting. He has done this before, but never with such sincerity. He means this terrible thing. He's meant it forever. He makes a once-in-a-century effort, whistling his dream into being, setting the village up for its big moment. By the time he gets to the edge of the woods, he has crumpled into nothing more than a whiff or a suggestion. He is only silent, warm, crepuscular danger, and the badgers and owls have seen this before, and they know not to greet him, but to hide. The bower disappears. All is unbuilt, and they are sitting on the floor of the woods in dappled morning sunlight. In comes the sound of her child, singing. LANNY's strange half-song, half-hum, chit-chat, and he is among them in his school shorts and a t-shirt, pottering, planning, darting about, delicate and focused, laying a few early markers, clearing the ground, drawing the perimeter with a stick, off again, back with a bundle, off again, like a time-lapse nature video. She sees him 1,000 times a second, her little winged thing, attending to his creation, flickering sun up, sun down, days layered upon patient days, as she realizes their life at home, his time at school, what she thought of as his real existence was only a place he visited. It is so good to see him. Bliss. He's not real. He is just the memory of LANNY on the things that he touched. She knows that. He is transparent, in and out of actuality like the light itself, but still his mannerisms, his voice, his gorgeous body language, his extraordinary green eyes. She watches and sees the bower become part of the wood. A deer pokes its head in the entrance, then a middle-aged lady with an OS map, then a squirrel, then LANNY is lying on the floor, singing at the top of his voice, grabbing armfuls of mulch and grinning, then he is sobbing, punching the floor, then he is hunched over, writing his strange little recipes, his letters, his plans, then he is gone, and the bower is half built, waiting, and warmth brings odd, dusty knives of light into the space. It's a sacred place. Toothwort's concrete skin has softened and rustled into life. He's made of real leaves now, and he smiles at Jolie and mouths the word, watch. The walls come up around them, LANNY packing and fiddling and tweaking, knotting and tutting, whistling and chatting, and Jolie feels his breath on her cheek. She closes her eyes and feels the twitching pulse of days and nights, and when she opens them, the walls are built and LANNY is darting in and out between her and Toothwort, adding snail shells and chalk, fitting nuts and hard berries, dead insects and interesting twigs into every possible gap. And then she sees other kids she recognizes briefly darting into the bower, laughing, and one of them smashes a wall, and Lanny is back patiently fixing, smiling as he works, and then he is lying down and he looks his mother straight in the eyes. She smiles, and her child smiles back. I'm going to stop here. I just wanted to give you a few little samples of this novel. It is very, very beautiful. There is a lot of nature in it. There is also a lot of intensity. There's also a lot of complex feelings. It's nice and kind of floaty at some points, and then chilled, and then perplexing, and then suddenly it gathers speed, and then suddenly you're in the depths of despair, and then so things move all the time. It's very natural and contrived at the same time. I do hope you decide to read this novel. It is a very it's a very unique experience. It's a type of book that I adore because it has a little bit of everything. It's experimental, and it's very natural and very familiar at the same time. It's weird and wonderful. It is full of interesting experiences. I really do hope you enjoy it. And if you're listening to this during the month of June and you'd like to join us for the Novella Reading Club session next Monday on the 21st of June, next Monday, the 21st of June at 6:30 p.m, do reach out, get in touch, and I shall add your name to the list. Thank you very much for listening, and see you again soon.